How does that lead you to what you're doing today?
Yeah. So in these first 2 rounds of being startup founder, I just met a lot of people who were like me, who were connected to education or social impact in some way. A lot of them were people of color. And we all sort of had similar stories, I started to find out, stories of, folks trying to moonlight an idea who had really great credentials, but seemed to have a hard time getting funding.
Yeah.
And so I just began to realize, man, there's untapped talent who are out there who are clamoring to be a part of the solution. And in many ways, I sort of saw it as a talent, like a talent thing, right? So we can talk a lot about the diversity piece, and I'm sure we'll get into that. But if you just think about education for the last 20 years, a lot of the philosophy has been around talent. So one day Cop created Teach for America as a talent solution, for teachers, and you sort of see different iterations of that. You have new leaders for new schools that created a talent solution for principals, and you've seen different iterations of that across the country. You've seen the Broad Institute sort of create a talent solution for sort of mid-level district talent and the iterations of that. They did the same thing. Broad did the same thing with the Superintendent's Academy and the different iterations of that. You can sort of keep going on and on. And so it was this recognition that talent is so important at all these different levels, from teacher all the way to superintendent. And I felt like the same was true in sort of the entrepreneurial world, right? That
but you're seeing a disconnect too, it seems.
Yeah, that there was this opportunity to really leverage all the talent that we have at play to solve these big problems. And one of the pieces of talent that we were leaving out were Black and brown folks, largely. And in education, it was sort of dismaying to me because, particularly in the urban context, a lot of the kids that we're serving are Black and brown. And so this unspoken message that, Black and brown communities are the problem to be solved, but never the solution. And I didn't necessarily believe that.
It's sort of a working on attitude of the organization versus a working with.
I mean, and there was a drumbeat for probably starting 5 or 7 years ago. People would say, if reform is being done to communities and not with communities, right? And so I think Camelback came along at this fortuitous time where there was more recognition that this couldn't be the way forward, right? That whatever, and I know we all have our own definitions of quote-unquote ed reform, but that all these sort of innovative ideas, charter schools, ed tech companies, nonprofits with different sort of solutions couldn't just be done to communities. They need to be done with communities. And I think there was also recognition that what that meant was not just asking them what you want to do, but also allowing them to lead and run and build their own organizations in the vision that they had. And that's what we were trying to do at Camelback, was to say that there are people out there who have different life experiences, and therefore give them a different perspective on the world, and therefore give them a perspective on what some of these solutions could be. And we should explore that, and we should sort of support them in their leadership and see what could happen, right? So, if we were trying to, solve cancer or some other disease, we wouldn't say, well, I don't think we should look at those doctors over there. You would take all the talent that you had and say, come, if you want to help us solve this problem, come on. If you have a basic level of knowledge and desire, come on. And so that was part of my argument. Was hey, we are trying to solve a problem that is solvable, and we've made change in small pockets, but I think I'll say for myself, I won't speak for others, which is I think there's still so much further to go, right? In terms of to leveling the playing field and closing the opportunity gap and all those things. And so if we've tried the same things, led by the same people for so long, why not try something new, or at least, introduce some new elements into it? And so, that's part of what I've been trying to do over the last 5 years.